If you weren't in the room and they were asked the question of who's doing this, they would say your name. And so it's very important to make sure that they're clear of what roles you're not doing and that you're not responsible for.
Welcome to the Fiduciary Wise podcast. I'm Kate McBride, one of your hosts from Fiduciary Wise. Whether you're a thought leader, service provider, CEO, or decision maker, this podcast is for you. We break down the best practices, the services and solutions available to you, discuss the latest topics, and shake up the industry norms. Join us as we explore, challenge, and navigate the future of fiduciary responsibility together. For this season, we're doing skits that illustrate conversations we've had or do have and break them down. I'm an ERISA 402A specialist at Fiduciary Wise, and today I'll be playing the role of Fiduciary Wise.
Hi, Kate. Good to be with you. I'm Isaac Wood. I'm also an ERISA 402A specialist here at Fiduciary Wise. And for our industry-changing skits, I will be playing the role of financial advisor.
Love the hat. I love the costumes. Here we go. I am Marta. I am a partner here at Fiduciary Wise. I've spent about 20 years in the retirement plan industry. And today I'll be playing the role of the plan sponsor. So as Isaac gets set up with his tie and hat for the financial advisor, I have on my plan sponsor cardigan.
Kate just is herself.
That's perfect. I don't even get a costume. Well. Maybe one of these days I'll get a costume. Okay, team. During this part of our meeting, Fiduciary Wise will review our certification of 404C compliance. ERISA 404C relieves the plan sponsor and other fiduciaries from liability for losses resulting from participants' management of their investments. This protection applies only to participant-directed investments, not investments required under the plan or directed by the sponsor.
I mean, our participants choose their own funds, so we're good, right?
Not quite. 404C isn't just about giving choices. There's a process we need to follow to verify compliance and prove it if we're ever challenged.
That's why we rely on you, Fiduciary Wise. We want to know what to look at, what to document, and what to fix if we're missing anything. Can you remind me what all is required?
Sure. Fiduciary Wise reviews this annually, but let's do a little deeper dive since this is our first meeting with you. First, we confirm the three core components of 404C. First component is ERISA 404C states that you must offer a broad range of investment alternatives with differing potential for investment risk and return. The second requirement is that ERISA 404C plans must give participants the right to timely direct the investment of their account. And third, there's also some information and disclosure requirement.
Well, we review the investments with our advisor every quarter, and our participants pick from those. So are we all set?
Well, that definitely checks off some requirements, but participants also need to be able to make changes at least quarterly and have the tools and information to make informed decisions.
Well, that's good because this plan allows investment changes daily, and participants can make changes online or call an 800 number.
What about the information and disclosure requirements? I don't know anything about those. Isaac, you do those, right?
Well, no. I am copied on the emails you get from the record keeper. They send you notices, remember? And those emails, they tell you to send them out to everyone.
That's right. Under 404C, you need to provide plan level info, how the plan works, and how to give investment instructions, investment level info, fund objectives, performance, expenses, risks, prospectuses or equivalent materials, and information about transaction fees and restrictions. Does that ring a bell?
Sounding vaguely familiar. I think Sam used to do that, and he retired last month. I don't even know if they got sent out. How important is it?
It's very important. This is a safe harbor, which means that you get protection as long as you take care of the annual requirements. These notices are part of that.
The record keeper said that they can do it for you if you sign up for their delivery service.
That's great. We're familiar with this record keeper, and they even have a report that we can file in our records showing delivery status. That's important in case anyone ever claims they didn't receive it.
I guess get us the form, because it sounds like we need to do a better job of making sure it's done. So Fiduciary Wise certifies this annually: menu options, communication methods, disclosure timing, and system access.
Exactly. Think if the DOL walked in tomorrow and asked, can you prove your 404C compliance? You should be able to show a full paper trail, including our annual certification.
Okay, so we're not just ticking boxes, we're building a defense file.
That's true. 404C doesn't give you blanket immunity, but it does protect you when participants make poor investment choices, if you've done your part. Remember, this isn't about building a defense file. It's about making sure we do what's in the best interest of the participants. Order in the court. Order in the court.
This is Judge Jones. I know of nothing in ERISA that is done more incorrectly than ERISA 404C. ERISA 404C was started and created because of an emergency. In order to allow plan participants to manage their account and not have the plan sponsor be liable, the Department of Labor said, we will allow that, but we're going to give some very strict rules in order to have a safe harbor. Most people just read 2 or 3 things about 404C. They pick and choose what they want. But 404C must be earned. And it must be done every year, because every plan year starts over and every plan year is different. Did you know that there's nearly 26 requirements to 404C? Did you know that unless you have properly monitored every investment in the plan to make sure it meets what is called cost efficiency, or that you use, as an example, the risk adjustment return, you have not qualified for 404C. Or did you know that under 404C, there's an economic empowerment? That means teaching the participants what to do. You just don't leave them there, you teach them. And so it is the role of the advisor to the plan or the broker to be teaching the participants or the employees how to manage their accounts. Now, sometimes I see they'll hold a meeting, but it's about nothing about ERISA. It's some other topic that they'd perhaps like to market. So 404C must be earned, and it must be done exactly correctly. Any safe harbor must be done that. But let me end this way. After the Department of Labor finished 404C, they kind of said to themselves, wow, we started for one reason, but we've created another. Perhaps this is the most significant safe harbor we've ever created that will protect the plan sponsor. Think of that, how important that is. So 404C must be earned, must be done exactly, but oh, what a benefit you get.
Hi, I'm Kate McBride with Fiduciary Wise. We know that managing retirement plans comes with a lot of responsibility, and having the right knowledge is crucial to making the best decisions for your plan and participants. That's why at Fiduciary Wise, we don't just provide fiduciary services, we're committed to educating those who manage retirement plans through resources like the Fiduciary Wise Brief. Our program delivers expert insights to help you navigate the complexities of ERISA, compliance, and the fiduciary risk management. If you're finding value in what you're hearing in this podcast and want to take your understanding to the next level, let's continue the conversation. Reach out to us at fiduciarywise.com/scheduling and learn how we can support you with the knowledge and tools you need to confidently manage your plans.
All right, team. So let's break down these conversations a little bit. I know at Fiduciary Wise, of course, we certify 404C annually. And I think a lot of plans probably do a decent job of covering most of these things. And I know that there's a lot of service providers that help meet those requirements. But as playing part of the service or the plan sponsor, we do often get some blank stares sometimes when we talk about all the requirements and who needs to be sending out what. I think that can sometimes be a little overwhelming because there's a lot of notices and things that have to go out in retirement plans.
That's for sure. Yeah, and they're important notices because they really, tell plan participants what's going on in the plan and what their choices need to be and when to make them and all kinds of things, regarding the plan. And if they don't go out, if those participants don't get the notices, then, things can happen that they don't expect, and that's not good.
Well, and I mean, really, so if we step back, like what's the benefit to the plan sponsor being 404C compliant? We mentioned it being there being a safe harbor if you're able to accomplish this list that we go through. And the benefit is that, this is a 401k plan is participant directed. So your participants are in there and they have the ability to move their money around as they see fit. Within the investment lineup in the plan, but also many plans offer some type of a brokerage account window where they can go outside of the plan and access any number of investments there. And so not every single participant makes wise investment decisions. And so if you are not 404C compliant, then those decisions are something that they could turn and start to blame the plan sponsor for the bad decisions that they made. And so it's very important in a participant directed 401k plan where they're the ones choosing the investments that the plan sponsor is not on the hook for those investments.
Right, that's true. And one of the other things that 404C does is to make sure that the investments in the plan are correctly selected, that they're monitored and replaced when necessary. That's something that other people that work on plans, called a 338, often take on. That's not in every plan, but it's available for almost any plan that would want one. But what the 404C safe harbor helps do is it goes back to the days of pension funds. So when pension funds, the kind of plan that most people who were working, back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, if you had a retirement plan at work, it was mostly a pension plan. And that plan guaranteed you an income for life after you retire. And so the pension plans are sort of fading away now. Most people don't have that. They have a 401k instead. The pension plans, there's a number every year that the pension needs to hit. Maybe it's 5% or 6% in terms of growth of the plan so that it can keep up with paying people for life. And if it doesn't hit that plan, the employer has to make the plan whole. They have to make up that difference. Let's say if a plan only got 4% a year and its number was 5%, well, then the employer would have to kick in more money from the employer to make that plan up to 5% or whatever their number is. 401ks don't have to do that because there isn't someone actually managing that account like you'd have in a pension plan. And so the employer does not have to make the plan whole if based on what the employee has chosen for their account. But if you don't follow all of 404C's requirements, and there are something like 20 or 25 of them, then 404C is not the safe harbor for the plan sponsor than it would be if you do get all those requirements covered. So it's an important safe harbor. It's a really powerful safe harbor, but it has to be done right.
Well, I think anytime you can take advantage of a safe harbor, I mean, you do these things and you get this protection. That's pretty much a no-brainer in my mind. And as a business owner, I mean, if somebody would tell me, hey, you do these things and you get this protection, I'd take advantage of that all day. So making sure that those things are taken care of completely and accurately is an important part of this. So we talked a little bit in the skit about documentation and what that looks like. And so like when Fiduciary Wise, we do that certification annually. We check all those boxes and make sure we know what's going on with the plan. We also talk about education for participants. We touched on that a little bit. What we refer to as economic empowerment, making sure those employees know that this is their responsibility. It's not a pension plan, right? So they are responsible for the outcomes of their plan. So if they choose an investment that did really great last year and then it doesn't do really great this year, we don't want to just hand them all the information and say good luck. We also want some education and some information to go along with that.
Right.
Well, and that education component can be one that maybe is lost. Being 404C compliant is more than just putting checks and boxes. Like Kate, as the fiduciary wise expert at the end of the skit said, it's about doing what's right for the participant. But some of the requirements are around educational. So it's not just sending out disclosures. It's not just having the right lineup. There is an educational component where you are actually educating participants, providing education to participants so that it's, that they can understand the investments that are being offered to them. And that's, I think, a piece that often gets underappreciated, underproven, underdocumented throughout the process. So, Marta, you've probably looked at over 10,000 5500s in your time. How many 5500s? What percentage of those would you say on the 5500s say that they are trying to be 404C compliant?
I would say a lot of them say it.
Yes, that's so a vast
because it's a box that you check. Yes,
put a check in the box.
I think yes.
They're pursuing 404C compliance.
Yeah,
they probably, a lot of those don't even know what they're checking the box.
I agree.
Then there's a group of them that understand what 404C compliance is. That hey, if I put a check in this, I think they think if I put a check in this box, then I can't get in trouble for participants choosing their investments.
Yeah.
So I have a great story for you. When I started working in the 401k world, I worked for a third-party administrator, and it was a while ago. So it was back when we basically bound enrollment books, and my office also helped with some of the education pieces and putting that together. And in the enrollment book, there was a place where you could check that you wanted to be 404C, and then you listed who was responsible at your, basically it was a spot to list the name fiduciary. I had no idea. I was like, well, the person who trained me told me to check this box, and they told me to enter this, the contact information from here. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, that there was more to that than just checking the box. Not necessarily for me, the box checker. But no, I didn't put my trainer's name. No, I think I was supposed to put the employer's name, or maybe I didn't put our firm's name. I have no idea, right? I mean, it just,
been the employer,
all of that didn't click.
Yeah.
I'm going to retell that story as you putting your boss's name down.
I mean, maybe I did. Who knows? But now when I think about it, I'm like, oh, that's what that meant. And I was a newbie to the industry, and it took me years to say, oh, now I know what that 404C box meant. And I know what I was supposed to put in those contact these people boxes. So, I mean, it's in several places on the 5500. Sometimes you see it in legal plan documents. Yeah, sure. We intend to comply, but what does that mean? And what is the documentation process, I think, is what we are really focusing on today.
Hey, I'm Isaac Wood with Fiduciary Wise. With years of experience helping plan sponsors, TPAs, record keepers, and advisors navigate the complexities of retirement plans, I understand that every client has unique needs. That's why our MEP, PEP, and DC group of plan services offer complete customization. Whether you're managing multiple plans or looking to streamline administration, we tailor solutions that fit your goals while also ensuring compliance with ERISA regulations. At Fiduciary Wise, we don't just offer cookie cutter options. We work closely with you to design a plan that maximizes efficiency, minimizes risk, and gives you the control that you need. Imagine the confidence of knowing that you have an experienced team behind you, guiding you every step of the way. If you're ready to take your retirement plan to the next level, let's connect. You can schedule a meeting at fiduciarywise.com/scheduling to see how we can help.
Right.
So if you're an advisor out there, hopefully you've just been inspired by the role of the advisor that you saw played out in front of you today. But also this was a scenario that probably comes up often in your life when you're working with plan sponsors and 401ks, because you'll notice that the plan sponsor's first gut response was, "Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Advisor, you're doing this, aren't you?" And so often they think that you're kind of the face of the 401k service providers to the plan, and they think that you as a financial advisor are filling so many more roles that you're not, and no one other than them would even expect you to do. And so to know that many of these plan sponsors, if you weren't in the room and they were asked the question of who's doing this, they would say your name. And so it's very important to make sure that from a clarity perspective, and that's why we at Fiduciary Wise walk through these conversations like we're showing you in skit form, is to help clarify the roles that you're playing as a financial advisor, to be able to have you tell your story and the value that you're bringing, but also to make sure that they're clear of what roles you're not doing and that you're not responsible for. And then delivering notices is definitely not on the financial advisor's to-do list, but something that oftentimes they find themselves stuck in the middle of.
Right. You brought up a good, you and Marta brought up a good sidebar here too. This isn't what this podcast is actually about, but the person who signs the Form 5500. Let's just talk about that for 30 seconds, because the person whose name is on the 5500 is presumed to be the named fiduciary of the plan. So their name is on there, their phone number is on there. Sometimes there's an email on there, but certainly name and phone number. And that person who signed it probably most of the time doesn't fully understand the gravity of what they're signing. I mean, they are signing that they are in charge of this plan for everything that it does that has not been delegated in writing to a service provider. And that means that if something goes wrong with the plan, the person who gets the lawsuit handed to them is that person who signs the 5500. It's mostly the employer. But at Fiduciary Wise, we sign the Form 5500. We get all the paperwork that goes along with the plan. And we take responsibility as the named fiduciary. It's called the 402A named fiduciary in ERISA. And that's what Fiduciary Wise does. That is different from what almost anyone else in the retirement industry does. Almost no one else signs those Form 5500s because that means that you're the legally responsible person for that plan. And if there's a lawsuit, they're coming to you.
I think this was a great segue because, at Fiduciary Wise and why I wrote that in the skit, that the plan sponsor thought the advisor did it, because often the plan sponsor expects that some of the service providers are doing a number of the things, sending out the notices, providing education, completing this, doing that. And so one of the things we do when we get new clients is to make sure that we're clear who the service providers are and who is doing what, to make sure that all those things really are taken care of. So I like getting into these things with you guys, and I love us doing these skits. I think they're really fun. So I hope everybody else finds them as entertaining as I do.
Definitely. Thanks for tuning in to the Wise Fiduciary podcast. We'd love to hear your thoughts and answer your questions. So drop a comment, send us a message, or schedule a meeting with us at fiduciarywise.com/scheduling. Also, don't forget to join us next time for more insights and discussions. See you in the next episode.
The Wise Fiduciary Podcast is a production of Fiduciary Wise LLC, where retirement plan expertise meets real-world insights. Hosted by Marta Hurst, Kate McBride, and Isaac Wood, this show is written and produced by the Fiduciary Wise team. Our executive producer is Haley Blank. This episode was written by Marta Hurst. The content of this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be construed as legal or investment advice. Always consult a qualified professional regarding your responsibilities as a plan sponsor or a fiduciary. Thanks for listening.